everyone, thanks for tuning into Sin's Workshop. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. So today we're going to be reviewing A Treachery of Swans. This was gifted to me by the publisher, so once again, thank you, publisher, for the final proof of this book. Which is funny, considering I had already pre-ordered it from Waterstones. I kept my pre-order, okay? In any case, thank you for tuning in. So this book is a retelling of the Swan Princess, which when I was reading it, I'm like, this feels familiar. And I'm like, oh, but I was getting Goose Girl, you know, Grimm Fairy Tales, the Goose Girl vibes, because she turned the princess into a swan, but you don't find that out. You just know she has stolen the princess's identity. And then she's like, okay, I'll break your bond because I need you to help me solve this murder because they're framing my estranged brother. It's like, you know, I may kind of hate my brother right now because he turned his back on me, but I love my brother, so I need you to help me. And the whole reason she's doing all of this, right, is because her adopted father, a sorcerer, just called the Sorcerer because he goes by many names, he needs her to steal this relic because he wants to bring magic back to the land so it's no longer outlawed. So, you know, you think, oh yeah, but, you know, benevolent reason, right? They, you know, ostracize anyone who has magic. So that's why she's trying to plan this heist and pretending to be this girl. I liked Marie Daudet. She was kind of snarky. Granted, she has to be snarky because it's like her former best friend turned her into a swan. But there is some baggage between them outside of that. Not only is this a Sapphic love story, you can clearly tell what the tension between these two characters, but there was an incident when they were kids that further separated them from and created that barrier between princess and servant and no longer friend and friend, right? Which, you know, you usually see happen within the royal family lines and stories. You usually see that happen. It's a common trope. Just the intensity of that event, you know, it really shattered both of the girls, including Odette, because she did not like her mother and she didn't like the person her mother made her to be. And so for her, being turned into a swan is actually quite freeing. She's like, you know, my mother would never approve of this, but you know what? I'm taking control now. Because as much as Odile breaks the curse, kind of, sorta, she doesn't fully break it. So at night, Marie is her princessy self again. But then once the moon sets, sun rises, she's back to being a swan, right? She has no control over it. You really do get to see both of these two characters, Odile and Marie, really flourish together. They are both kind of rectifying their past with who they want to be and the decisions they've made. There's a lot of subterfuge as well with the storytelling, and I thought it was really, really clever. In fact, I think I like this book more than her previous book because as much as I did like Where the Dark Stands Still, and I did like it enough to buy the Waterstones. You know that whole not transfer, but you know, shipping is that ain't cheap, and the conversion rate. So it was enough. I liked it enough to buy it from Waterstones, right? I like this one a little bit more because that one felt a little dry. This one didn't feel dry at all. I felt like both of the female characters were very clever. They were very snarky, but they were also very different. And there's definitely a lot of tension between the two characters, especially as the story begins to really delve into their past and their past relationship, as well as the magic and lore of the land with the goddesses. But there's also Odile. You know, she is our main character. We are following her. The story is told through her perspective. So you get to see her fall in love with Marie. You get to see her kind of rage against her brother. You see her rectify with who her father is and the kind of person he is. And then that awakening of like, I want to be this type of person. I will no longer have the fear of that toxic parent-child relationship hinder me from being the person that I want to be. So it really is a soulful journey, you know, for both of the characters. And through her lens, you get to see Marie also come to terms with it. Again, she feels free. She's like, my mother would have never let me go to the town. You know, she never would let me wear this. She never would let me be barefoot. She gets to experience true freedom, which she had never had before. She was always very restricted. And now, even though she's cursed to be a swan, when she's a swan, she gets to explore, you know, things that she never got to do as a princess. Things that she still can't do when she is a human. And then she takes ownership of that, you know, to the point where she can summon her wings even in her human form. And she can control the phasing. And I think that that's such a beautiful moment, that in taking control of her life and accepting this magic, she takes control of her identity and determines, as well as Odile, who she wants to be, you know, outside of the royal restrictions. She decides to make a decision. I liked the plot twist. I didn't exactly see it coming, to be honest. I knew there was something off with the sorcerer, but what exactly, I did not know. The curse, that was an interesting aspect of the story as well. I was just like, oh, kind of saw it coming, but the depth of the curse, I didn't quite see it coming. I'm trying to do this without spoiling it for you. It's kind of hard. So it really was an interesting story. It did keep me on my toes. You know, you have a monster that's terrorizing the land, and you do have side characters like Aimee, the prince, and Damien, her brother, and the four of them together, when they do come together as, you know, this powerful group, like, we're going to take down the sorcerer together. That was actually quite a fun moment. And the subterfuge, the play on play, you know, because I think Ocean's 11, Ocean's 10, any of the ocean movies, they have to do a heist at the end. So there's a lot of subterfuge, and you don't exactly know where the lies are and what the truth is. You think you kind of know, but the acting and the writing is so on point. You're like, oh no. You're like, oh, thank God, it's just a subterfuge. Because some of the bad choices that they make totally fit within their characters, especially, you know, with Odile's inner monologuing. Her inner monologuing, reflecting her actions, it makes you second guess her throughout the entire story. Anytime she's doing subterfuge, you're just like second guessing, like, okay, is this true or is this an act? Is this true or is this an act? You're always second guessing her motives, because she is a very true, morally gray character. So I think that's why I like this one way more, because there was a lot more subterfuge. The characters were a little bit more lively. There were some very interesting plot twists, and I think the rising tension of the story worked better, honestly. So on that note, thank you all for tuning in. Solid 4 stars, highly recommend. You know, I'm gonna go with 4.25. 4.25 stars. Because I do think it is better than her previous book, and that's always something you want to see with writers. You want to see their writing and storytelling improve, for sure, right? So on that note, once again, thank you all for tuning in. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with all your book loving friends. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and as always, happy reading.